you don't have to deal with all those people that aren't there to see you. You know, all those people that are just busy doing something else. They're eating, they're being distracted in every possible way. So the great thing about house concerts is it's all about you. People are there to see you, and they're really going to engage with you while it's going on instead of being distracted.
Welcome to the Female Entrepreneur Musician Podcast with Bree Noble. Bree is a musician, entrepreneur, speaker, and founder of Women of Substance Music Radio and Podcast. Bree's interviews with successful female musicians and industry pros are both inspirational and informational. She also answers your questions about the music business. Bree is on a mission to help you create great music, connect with your fans, and grow your business, and to truly become a female entrepreneur musician.
Hey, this is Bree Noble, and thanks for tuning in to the Female Entrepreneur Musician Show, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. And this episode is going to help you do the second one of those things, connecting with your audience a lot, because we're going to be talking about house concerts, and it's also going to help you learn how to make income in your business. So I did a Facebook Live for my friend Steve Powell-Freeman at the Music Launch Hub, and it was super fun. We were talking about all the benefits of house concerts. And so I'm just going to go ahead and rebroadcast that for you guys because it was fun. It was, very well thought out, and I've got all the points that I wanted to make for you guys anyway. So we're going to get to that in a second. But before we do, if this episode gets you pumped about doing house concerts and learning how to do them profitably, then I want you to head over to our show notes page at femmusician.com/082 to grab a $50 off coupon on my Profitable House Concerts course. You can get $50 off if you click on the button right there on the page at femmusician.com/082. So head on over to femmusician.com/082 and grab your discount on my most popular course. Now here's my Facebook Live with the Music Launch Hub.
The reason you want to do house concerts, there are many, many reasons. And one of the main reasons is if you just don't like the traditional kinds of venues that you can go to as an artist. So most of you might be playing in bars or in clubs or places like that. And my big problem with bars and clubs is that people aren't necessarily there to hear you. They are there to hang out with their friends, to have fun, to drink, to cavort, to find girls, find men, whatever it is. They're not there to hear your music. So the great thing about house concerts is that everyone is there to see you. Like, you are the center of attention. You are the main attraction. People are coming specifically for you. So you definitely would benefit from house concerts because you don't have to deal with all those people that aren't there to see you. All those people that are just busy doing something else. They're eating. They're being distracted in every possible way. So the great thing about house concerts is it's all about you. People are there to see you, and they're really going to engage with you while it's going on instead of being distracted. So another thing is maybe you've dealt with some venue owners or club owners that, really don't value what you do. They just need to fill a spot. They don't see you as your own unique artist. You're just another, person on the treadmill that they're getting in and out of their club. And not only that, but they don't really promote you as an artist. They just are filling their spots. They're not paying attention to really wanting to promote you specifically as an artist, talking about your strengths, your uniqueness, your style, all that stuff that really makes people want to come see you. And venue, owners are not doing that because they're just busy trying to fill up their venue and book the next people. And so, they might be focusing on other things like, we're having a sale on the cover charge tonight, or, then focusing on maybe the bigger bands that people would know and not necessarily promoting you. So with a house concert, the host really is going to promote you specifically. They are going to, because their reputation is really riding on you. And so because they got you to come to their concert, they are going to really pump you to the people that they invite, because they want them to come, they want them to hear you, and you're one of their favorite artists. Otherwise they wouldn't be having you and hosting you at their home. So you get a lot of really good promotion out of a house concert. So another thing is that maybe you've experienced this situation where there is kind of a pay-to-play thing going on in clubs and, venues where, they'll give you a spot, but you have to sell so many tickets, and then a lot of artists end up buying the tickets because they can't sell them all. I remember one time I was going to this one club performing, and they said, whichever of the two opening acts sells the most tickets would get the spot number 2 right before the headliner. And down to the last minute, we had sold the most tickets. And I'm sure what happened was that the other person just, bought out enough tickets to get into the next spot. So we didn't get it. And it was very frustrating because all along we thought we were going to be starting at, 9:30. And then it turned out we were starting at 8:30. So it's just despicable, kind of these practices that happen in the venue world. And when you're doing house concerts, you don't have to deal with any of that crap. Like, it's completely outside of that world of pay to play, that world of, who is more important than how good you are. House concerts are just you, your host, and their, friends that they invite. And so you just can feel so much more free, not feeling like you have to live up to something or deal with some, crappy system. It's just a lot more freeing to do a house concert. So another thing that's great about house concerts is you don't have to split the door. So if you're at a club or a bar or whatever, and you're performing, even a coffee shop sometimes, you're performing and other artists are performing, then you have to split the money that comes in with them. Whereas obviously, if it's a house concert, occasionally they'll put a couple artists on the bill, but usually it's just you. And so you get to keep all of that money. So yeah, no more splitting the door. All the money is yours. The money that you make, the money that you get from merch. You don't have to share the merch spot with anyone. It is all about you, baby. So the next thing is, and I'm sure you can identify with this, how much gear do we have to bring to shows, right? If we are especially if we're at a place where we have to set up, maybe we're outside, they don't have their own sound system, you just lug all of this stuff with you. You have got amps and you've got, remember we used to, play at a coffee shop and bring all this stuff. So we had the full on, the mains and the monitors and the this and the that and the soundboard. It's just a lot of stuff to play one event. With a house concert, it's completely understood that you can play acoustic. You could even play, depending on how small it is, it could just be you and your guitar or you and your keyboard, not even a microphone, if that's the spot warrants it. And it can be so much more fun and relaxing that way. And you're not breaking your back having to, lug all this stuff with you all the time. So I just want to kind of check the comments and see if anyone's, can really let me know if you can identify with that situation of, just being super annoyed that you have to carry all this stuff with you. Oh, I'm getting a lot of comments now. When you have to just do all the setup, it takes so long to set everything up, right? You've got all this gear, you've tracked it in there, and now you have to put it all together, plug everything in, check the sound, it's exhausting. By the time you're done with that, you're like, am I done? I don't even have any energy to do the gig. So with the house concert, there is such minimal setup. Sometimes they have their own sound system. Sometimes you just, for me, I would just bring my Roland amp, my keyboard, and my mic and my stand, and that is it. I wouldn't need anything else. If you're a guitar player, it's even easier because you don't even have to have anything to, make your instrument have sound. You could just be you and your guitar. So if the room warrants it, you can totally do that, be super cash. So here's another thing that I know you guys will all identify with. What about dealing with those really egotistical, self-important sound people that you sometimes have to deal with at venues, right? Sometimes we would bring our own sound person, but at certain venues, they force you to use their sound person. You know, what is it? Why do we have to deal with that? Why do we have to, cater to this person who thinks that they know better than we do about the sound? When we ask for it to sound a certain way, then they don't even pay attention. They're probably just talking to their friend, and they have so much power over us. So let me know in the comments, give me a yes or totally if you've experienced that kind of thing with sound people, because I know I have. And it's very frustrating. You're working so hard up there to make a good sound, and they could care less what you sound like. And they've got this all-powerful position. So let me know in the comments if you've experienced this, because house concerts, it's so freeing. You don't have to deal with any of that. You don't have to deal with it at all. Yep, And I've had this conversation in my group. And people have been like, what do I do about these people? How do you handle these sound people? And not all of them are terrible, but there are definitely ones out there that have a chip on their shoulder. And, you don't have to deal with that at all when you do house concerts. So it's a really awesome, freeing experience. So another reason that you might like to do house concerts is maybe you don't have a band. Maybe you're a solo artist. I just did a podcast about this that has been getting a lot of people, commenting and talking to me about it. Because I said, what if you don't have a band? What, you thinking that you need to have a band, is that holding you back from doing, performing? So if you don't have a band, and, sometimes that holds you back from performing at venues because you think that, you won't fit in. Most of the ones that perform there are bands, or you don't have a very interesting stage show. That makes you absolutely perfect for house concerts. So, don't feel like you have to, be a certain kind of person to do house concerts. Any person that is a good performer can hold an audience, even just you and your instrument. You're going to be great at house concerts. And if you're a band or you're a duo and you can play acoustically or stripped down, totally perfect for house concerts. So it's a very versatile kind of venue. Unless for some reason you have to have, lots of bells and whistles, and, maybe you play heavy metal or something, that might be hard to do in a house concert situation. But most genres work great in house concerts. So another thing is, maybe you just don't fit with traditional venues. So I know for me, my style of music was more, inspirational, singer-songwriter, inspirational pop. And a lot of times it just didn't fit with a lot of the venues that were local for me. They wanted rock. They wanted, more big, larger bands and stuff like that. And so I was always looking for places that I could play. And house concerts fit the bill perfectly for that. So, it also could be that maybe you're an instrumentalist. I have several instrumentalists that are in my academy, and they have done house concerts, and they go over really well because you're right there. They can watch you play your instrument. They can see your fingers. And that just is really exciting to the audience. It's hard for them to see that on the stage, unless they've got one of those cameras that blows it up on the screen or whatever. You really can't see the intricacies of what people are playing, all of their virtuosity and everything. So I've got, a student that's a fiddle player, a student that is a violin player, and someone else who plays, I think it's maybe a woodwind instrument, but they've done house concerts, and it's been super successful for them because not only can they play and see them really easily up close, but they can talk about their instrument and show them things about how it works. It's almost like, it's like an interactive situation where people are learning, and it's educational as well as them being able to enjoy the music. So another thing that is great about house concerts is if you play in a genre that is like not traditional or common, that can fit really well with house concerts. So I know some people using this, maybe their genre is Celtic, and not a lot of venues are wanting to have them for whatever reason. Or maybe their genre is, one of my students, her genre is she does American history-based songs. So her songs are based around history, and she does a whole program about that. That is perfect for a house concert because you can, do the educational piece, you can tell stories, and then you can do these songs, and it doesn't really fit with a traditional venue that they might go to, like a club or anything. It's hard for her to find venues that work for her, and house concerts are absolutely perfect for that. So if you love connecting with your audience, house concerts are the best, because a good house concert has a chance for you to meet and greet your audience beforehand, hang out, get to know them, eat some food, talk about their likes, their dislikes. Maybe, if they know your music, maybe you can talk to them about what songs they like. If they don't know your music, you can get to know them a little bit, and you can weave some of that information into your show. So, say you met somebody that was from, New York City or something. And, maybe one of your songs, you had a story related to New York City that had to do with your song. You could weave that in and say, yeah, and Joe over there, we were talking about hanging out, downtown in New York City. We were talking about going to the bitter end or whatever. You can weave that stuff in and make them feel like they're part of the show and really, really connect with you. So that's something that is hard to do at another type of a venue. Another thing is if you love to tell stories, house concerts are the bomb. Because, I know for me, I love to tell stories between my songs, talk about, why I created the song that you don't always get to tell, because if you're not close up to the audience, then they're not really going to react to it, and they're going to be like, they're not going to be engaged or reactive to it. And I don't like telling stories when that's the case, because then you're just kind of like standing there like, okay, did they hear me? Did they understand it? When you're up close and personal with people, people can laugh with your story. People can, ask questions. And so it's just so interactive that if you enjoy, and I'm not saying you have to tell stories, like maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't really like to tell a lot of stories, that's okay too. But it's really fun if you do like to tell stories, like me and Steve, we like to talk too. So I'm sure Steve would also enjoy telling stories during his shows at house concerts. So another thing is if you love to get feedback from your audience, and when I mean feedback, I mean, number one, good feedback, like immediate approval. You can tell if they're enjoying themselves. They're so close to you that you can, see their faces, you can read their expressions, you can see what's really moving them, and that will inspire you to keep doing that more. And then as well as you can ask for feedback from them. So you could ask them, if they want to request, if you've got like a list of songs, if you maybe want to do a cover or something, you can ask them, what's their favorite song of yours, if it's people that already know your music. You can ask them questions about maybe a story you're telling or something. You can ask them about, some of their favorite bands, just kind of to break it up during the show. It's hard to do that at traditional venues. So house concerts can be so fun that way. And next and finally, house concerts are great if you like fun. If you like being laid back, if you like just that hangout feeling of like, yeah, we're all music lovers, we're just enjoying this. House concerts are amazing for that. We have food in advance, we're talking with people, then we're just kind of like, now let's move on over here to the house concert portion of this. And it just feels like a continuous night of fun. And if you like that, that's what house concerts are all about.
Now go out and make great music, connect with your fans, and grow your business. Female Entrepreneur Musician has been brought to you by FEMusician.com and FemaleMusicianAcademy.com. With editing by Bree Noble and music by Stella Ronson.